everyone. I'm Brent Smith alongside Shane Stetsny, and we got a special guest in the booth, Corbyn. How you doing, buddy?
Doing really good.
We just saw you out on the track in mod cart. You finished fourth in that one, a really spirited run, but you were up against some trouble with your truck. I know you were fighting an oil pressure, an oil temperature issue in that race.
Yeah, the oil cooler line where it connects to the oil cooler broke off. Like, it was starting to crack right away, and just bypassed it so we could make it through the race. Luckily enough, it was cold enough today where we could run.
Yeah, just enough to get you through the race and get you to the finish line, which is what's important. And again, a great run for you to finish fourth. You know, part of your success this year, I think, is because of the hat that you're wearing, the Next Gen Driver Development Program. You have worked with Robert and Cole this year to help improve your program. Talk a little bit about what that experience was like. You went to their class at Dirt City Motorplex before the season.
It was really nice. They talked us through the lines and stuff and over the radio. It's really nice. They're really nice people, and Cole spots for me, so it's also nice because I'm really confident with him in my ear and stuff. So.
Right, we talk about the confidence. Shane and I throughout all the weekends, and as young as you are, I mean, that's what keeps bringing you forward, right? Try to drive as many things as you can, but especially in the mod cart division, the power to weight ratio, that's just like driving a big Pro 2 or a Pro 4 truck at your young age. So, I mean, they're not easy to drive, but tell us a little bit about what you do to get ready for a weekend.
Just usually go through the cart and stuff, and usually, like, for the tracks that are on iRacing or whatever, I'll go and run some lines in Pro 2s and stuff, and just get prepared and make sure I have everything.
So you're on iRacing. I know Brent's on there all the time. Have you ever run across Mr. Brent Smith while you're racing in there?
I don't think I have yet.
Now
Well,
you
we're
have
going
to
to
look
have to
for
add
one.
you. 906 boys and us, we always get on, and you're more than welcome anytime, and we'll shred some laps together.
All right.
Well, the 570s are coming up next, Corbyn. You were a past champion, 2023 points champion in the 570s. What does it take to be fast in the 570s? Obviously, compared to the mod cart, much more limited on horsepower, a little bit more top heavy. What are the keys to success racing a 570?
Usually staying smooth and confident and collective. Usually just making sure all your lines are good and you have really good speed and stuff.
You still keep in pretty close contact with some of your competitors from the 570 days?
Yeah, I talk to a lot of them still. Like, Grayson Arneson, he's starting on the front row today, and Maddie Winnestorfer.
Yeah, I had a chance to hang out with Maddie and a few other kids from the 570s last night as Next Gen and Racer on Demand had their media training session. I stopped by. Haley Shanley was down there giving the kids some pointers how to deal with media appearances. But you know, it seems like you weren't at the class, but you're doing fine. You're hanging up here with Brent and myself. Here's a quick look at the point standings in the 570 side-by-sides. Well, coming into this weekend, Ella was on top of the points by 1 point over Logan. Now they have flip-flopped. Logan finished one spot in front of Ella in yesterday's race. And Logan Fritzinger now the points leader. Emerson Dreyer, Bryson Shimmick, Jack Betts, all right there. And you've been in this position. Tank points battle last year. How do you keep a cool head? You know, when the race is actually going on, are you ever thinking about points, or are you just worried about let's make one more pass?
Usually just make one more pass. Usually I always try to make sure I'm in front of the guy that's in front of me in points. It's always, you get that one spot ahead, it's always a lot.
So showing up week in and week out, do you always go after the win, or if you are in that points chase, are you just trying to stay humble and chill out, try to gain as many as you want, or do you live every day like, hey, you know, this is my time to race and I got to get the win today?
Usually it's just mainly try to stay consistent with your podiums. We've seen it before where you don't have to win races to make championships.
Right. We've seen it many times.
Yeah, and we still actually, Super Stock Truck, Nick Bing doesn't yet have a win yet this year. Still right in the thick of that points chase. I'm always interested to ask drivers this question, because you see right now the 570s down in staging. We're just waiting to get one car that's having a tough time getting fired up. I've hung out in staging before, right before a race, and I watch the drivers. There's some drivers who are super nervous, can't sit still. Other drivers will be asleep inside the race car. Where do you fall on that spectrum?
I usually just like to be like by myself, just kind of chilling there and just think about your lines and stuff and just take a breathe, like look of what you remember of the track and yeah.
Then once you get out on that track, everything goes away, right? Then you have
Yeah.
to reset everything.
You make it about 100 feet onto the track and all of a sudden everything changes.
Yeah.
I can understand that though, because even before we go on, even before we start the show, right before we go live, I like to be by myself. You know, Brett leaves me alone, I'll sit over here in my corner and collect myself a little bit. You see the hillside getting fuller and fuller. Of course, super stock truck, part of the reason for that, I think, Brent. Fans will pack the place to see those trucks battle it out here at Bark River. You know, one thing I've noticed, Corbyn, I don't know how closely you've been watching 570s this year, especially the last 2 weekends, ERX and at Lena. Seems like the racing has gotten really, really physical. Have you noticed that as well?
Yeah, there's, it started to be like that when I was still racing. Like, I remember on comp caution, you always get that little bump in the back, and I don't remember usually being this aggressive, but Revan's racing, I guess.
Why do you think that is? From my point of view, it just seems like all of a sudden every driver has gotten so much better that that's how you have to win now. I mean, everybody runs such great lines, everybody's fast, so that's what it looks like for me. Do you think that's kind of part of that reason?
Kinda. I mean, there's also, I mean, it's still kind of a young class yet. There's a lot of older kids in it, but you usually just wait until somebody messes up and sneak right past them.
So would you rather race at a big track like Bark River, or would you rather go to like Alena or Anago or ERX Motor Park? What's your favorite track on the whole circuit?
Either Crandon or ERX. This track is honestly really good too. I like how I have to drive it in my mod cart. It's really on top of the wheel.
That's awesome, yeah, and that's what you want, right? If you're a race car driver, you want it to come down to the driving ability of each and every driver. So that is so cool at such a young age to have that drive. And you plan on getting in a big truck someday?
Yeah, in a couple of years here, I'm planning on going to a pro spec and moving up from there and see where that leads us.
Yeah, we talked actually during your race that Avery Hemmer has her sights set on possibly making a move into a full-size truck. Details on that still not in stone yet, but so great to see it. You know, obviously Brent and I now for the last few years we've watched kids from 570s now moving up into full-size side-by-sides, or 170s now racing short course kart, mod kart. That the youth pipeline seems to be like fully wide open at this point. Now we're seeing, the Inglesi brothers, former mod kart racers, racing pro spec and pro light. Hunter Van Zyl in pro spec after coming out of mod kart. It's always fun to watch the youth classes and try to pick out who are the next kids going to be that make the jump.
Yeah, especially I always raced 570 and I never had a chance usually to watch mod kart ever, so it's kind of a blind side of what is like, or like what the racing is like.
So you have no plans of going in a bigger side-by-side? You just want to go right to trucks?
Yeah, we were thinking about Sportsman, but the mod kart came up for sale right at the last minute and we got a really good deal on it.
You're like,
so,
yes.
Yeah.
Hey, race car drivers, you're like Ricky Bobby, you just want to go fast. Well, there you see the 570s about to roll out onto the racetrack. And a first-time winner yesterday in round 10, Raymond Denninger. His first career 570 win, is still not yet raced a full season in this class. He will get to start up near the front here in round 11. Let's take a look at the full lineup here for the 570s. Grayson Arneson and Finley Holcher will be on the front row. Raymond Denninger and Matty Winnestorfer in row number 2. Cody Krantz and Jack Betts in the third row. Braxton Schimmick and Emerson Dreyer in row number 4. Ella Holcher and Logan Fritzinger again separated by 1 point. We'll start in the 5th row. Peyton Weisbrod be out there with William Holcher. They are in row number 6. Oliver Lawson and Harper Hughes in the 7th row, and Miles Packenham starts by himself in row number 8. It actually looks like Fritzinger went to the tail end of the field on this start. So not quite sure. Fritzinger should have been starting in about the middle of the pack in the 5th row, and he's going to be starting at the tail end. So Ella Holcher by herself on the 5th row. You see her there. Had a chance to talk with Jack Betts for a little bit last night. He felt like he got roughed up a little bit in yesterday's race. Wasn't all that happy about it. We talked about how aggressive everyone seems to be driving. Part of that, I think, is that these 570 kids, they're sitting and staging watching Super Stock go right before they do it, and it just gets them that fired up.
Yeah, Super Stock is always a fun one to watch. It's really bumping and banging and trading doors and rubbing.
Well, Richie Kulov's going to bring the 570 side-by-sides around one final time. As, oh man, Draxton Shimmick. Shane, look at this. He's off the side of the track.
Yeah, that is big trouble for him. We'll see if he can get that car going again and try to make it for this start. Shimmick 4th in the points right now.
Almost looks like he's almost trying to look down at like his lap belts or something inside of the car.
Yeah, that could be what's going on there. And you see the safety team member over to help get it sorted out.
Yeah, good call, Corbyn. I think you're right. Trying to get him strapped in.
I don't know, possible chance his lap belts might have came loose or anything.
See Whitey Brownell in there,
Yeah.
helping Draxton get it sorted out. I was about to say the points very tight in this one. I mentioned that 1 point gap between Fritzinger and Ella Holcher. Emerson Dreyer just 12 points back of Holcher. Top 5 separated by only 19 points, so really a lot of different ways that can shake out. But Draxton Shimmick is one of those drivers in that top 5 group. So how did the two cars compare? Obviously, you know, you were a champion in 570s, so you're really comfortable. Did a lot of that, the skills you learned in the 570s, translate over to Mod Kart, or were you kind of having to unlearn some things?
Trying to kind of unlearn some things. It's a lot more, I guess, throttle control and between shifting and steering wheel, and it's a lot more counter steering and a lot more throttle control and just a whole different league compared to these cars.
Right, you're doing a lot more steering with your right foot, really.
Yeah.
So everything might be good to go here with Draxton Shimmick.
Yeah, looks like it's thumbs up. He's ready to go.
Just have to put his window net back up.
Yeah, you might want to do that.
He'll be stopping him.
No, and technically that'd be his fault, Shane, if he came around and didn't have the net down.
He would have a pretty good case to make with the safety team if they tried to make him stop. Is it tough when you're already in the car, you're just about ready to go, your heart rate's starting to come up, all the adrenaline's going, and then you have to wait like this? Does that mess with your brain a little bit?
Yeah, definitely being from in the mindset to not being in the mindset and then just waiting there and waiting for us for the race to get going.
That's what I always wonder when there's like back-to-back yellows or like a long slowdown or a red flag. It's got to be so tough. I know, you know, even for us a little bit up here in the booth, like your adrenaline starts to spike. Like, all right, another race is right on the way, and then to calm it back down a little bit. That's talking from our perspective. We got the easy job. We're not driving the race cars.
Back rolling now.
Good to see Draxton back in the field. He's had a great year so far.
Had a couple chances to win races this year, and just one critical mistake in 2 separate races that he was leading.
One critical mistake in these cars that will hurt you, especially in this track because it's so sandy.
Yeah, it's definitely really loamy here, especially in 570s. If you get out of that race line, the green flag flies. We're underway.
Grayson Arneson and Finley Holcher are going to lead the field down into turn 1. Looks like Holcher will have the advantage. Here comes Maddie Winnestorfer. She's going to try the outside the long way around, trying to get past Holcher.
Going up top, Maddie on the bottom.
Yeah, it gets really tight down there through turn 2. You saw Winnesdorfer just ran out of room.
Ran out of room really quick. Like straight 90 degree, and it's very hard to get through sometimes, especially with these cars because they're so top heavy.
Finley Holger out front early. See that gap already, Shane?
Yeah, Finley put down a really quick first half a lap here. Trying to leave everybody else in his roost.
Looks like they put a lot of water down.
Yeah, they really did. They haven't really been using the water trucks much this afternoon until right before the 570s, so they can thank the track crew.
Some washing going down at the pressure wash station tonight.
So do you pressure wash your own cars, or do you have people that do it?
I do it my own.
Yeah.
Usually, me and my dad will trade off and do it.
Depends how tired you are after the race weekend, or what?
Yeah. Or he'll just go over and once over, and it'll be good then.
You're almost ready to go back to school soon, so you'll have to get it done before Crandon.
Yeah. Usually right as the race weekend ends, I tear off all the body and do it at home because we have a pressure washer right at home.
Nice, nice.
Wow, Denninger was alongside Winnesdorfer for a little bit coming out of turn 2 there. Same story though, he just kind of ran out of room on the race line. Man, Finley Holcher just flat out flying right now, 3 seconds faster than Winnesdorfer and Denninger.
Yeah, he's starting to put a pretty big gap on.
Yeah, Denninger in the 11, VP Fuels ride, still holding on to the top 3.
He has gotten the hang of this car really quick too. We saw him in the 200s. That's where he's been the last couple of years.
He's actually doing really good, especially for his first year in class and having like almost more seat time than what he's already done.
Yeah,
getting his first win yesterday.
He didn't jump into the 570s until Antigo, so not even the opening rounds of this season. There is Finley Holcher from Lena, Wisconsin, trying to run away and hide early on here in the 570s.
Finley Holcher is almost in his own league out there.
Yeah, definitely. He is well out in front. Look at that now, just coming into our camera, Winnesdorfer.
Look who's found one another on the racetrack too. Our points leaders, Ella Holcher and Logan Fritzinger. We talk about that with the points battles, that every position does matter. If they would finish, there's a chance they could finish tied in the points after today's race is all said and done. If they finish one position apart with Ella in front of Logan, that's where they are right now on the racetrack.
Yeah, Ella's doing a great job in that HBI ride in the 6th spot, going a little wide there.
And that was Arneson pushing a little bit wide. That's going to open the door for Ella. It's like she will have the run to the outside of the gravel pit, close the door on Arneson.
Yeah, it's crazy how much, like a little bit of mistake or a little bit push up in that fluff, it's almost like somebody put the brake pedal on.
Yeah, for sure, especially in that gravel pit area, right? It just bogs that motor right down if you go too far.
Yeah, like yesterday in Moncrief, they had it really watered, or when it started to rain a little bit, it was just straight ice. It was like, you hardly got in the gas pedal, you almost about to spin out.
It's like driving it with like an egg underneath it, just trying not to go too hard or too slow.
Literally like slide us right into the cushion, right over it.
Well, halfway point reached here for the 570s. This race flying on by. Finley Holcher comfortably out front, but Maddie Winnesdorfer took a pretty big bite out of that lead in the final lap of that first half run. Denninger in 3rd, Shimmick in 4th. Then Ella, Logan Fritzinger, Cody Krantz, Jack Betts. So pretty much the usual suspects. We've seen that group running in this top 8 group pretty much all season long.
Yeah, Finley is usually not one you see up there, but he's doing really good this race. He's kept his lines clean and hasn't messed up.
Yeah, he's looked really, really quick in this first half. We'll see if he can hold off Winnesdorfer and Denninger. Which Shane said, Denninger's been having a pretty good season his first year out.
Yeah, Finley is still, not only does he not have a win this year, he's still looking for his first podium finish in 570s this year. Having a dominant year right now in the short course carts.
Winnesdorfer's gonna have another chance at this.
And she was gaining a lot of time there towards the end of that first half. Once she got free of Denninger a little bit, didn't have to play defense quite so much.
Well, here we go once again, Shane. Green flag flies. The second half's underway. Keep an eye on Draxton Shimmick now. He's moved up into the top 4.
Almost 3 wide going into turn 1.
Yeah, I think a couple of drivers thought about pushing it to 3 wide there and then maybe changed their mind. Thought better of it as we got one upside down.
Shimmick.
Draxton Shimmick.
Tough break for Shimmick. He just moved into the 4th place position. Our track crew is going to try to flip him upside down. You seen that, Shane, up on the bicycle, Winnestorfer.
Yeah, at this time in a race, it usually starts to get really red out. We really gotta watch what we do and watch what you, like, how you're entering the corners and stuff.
Well, Shimmick's going to try to take off. Looks like he will rejoin the race, but well back in the field. Does stay on the lead lap, so you never know if another caution could come out.
Yeah, we've seen that happen many of times, so he's just got to keep the hammer down and try to button up to the back of the field if he can.
Yeah, you just have to stay in the fight no matter what.
There's Winnestorfer in the 52 holding on to that 2nd place position. But Holger is definitely checking out.
Yeah, he's starting to put that gap back on. About to a 1 second gap by now.
Yeah, just dialed in. So with Shimmick out, that puts Ella Holcher now up into 4th and Logan Fritzinger up into the top 5.
Oh, up on the bike, sets it back down. That's our race leaders.
Denninger was having some issues as well. So some synchronized mistakes there from Holcher and Denninger. Winnestorfer just took a huge bite out of the lead that Finley Holcher had. Ella Holcher able to move up into 3rd. Fritzinger now in 4th.
Here comes the pressure. Pressure's on now.
Whoa.
Oh, up on the bicycle again. You can see how those ruts are really just tearing it apart here.
Now Ella with the run on Maddie Winnestorfer. She will be stuck on the outside though in the ground pit. Winnestorfer crosses back over in front of Ella Holcher, so she will hold on to that spot.
Corbyn, this track is just definitely coming apart. It's deteriorating so bad. You see them when they're putting it up on 2 wheels. I mean, you get to that point in the track and it's like, okay, where do I go? You got to try to straddle the big holes, but if you drive through them, that's what happens. You catch that rut and you go upside down.
Yeah, and just watching, like, from inside the race car when you're racing like in my mod cart, you watch the person in front of you and you watch their right front is just bobbling up and down, not even on the ground.
Try not to follow them too close and hit the same rut.
So several mistakes from a bunch of our front running cars on that last lap. We'll see if everybody can dial it back in a little bit. Finley Holcher has 2 laps to go in this one.
Trying to get the lead back on.
Yeah, they're all getting really squirrely through there.
Yeah, I think the inside of these corners starting to get slicked up a little bit. They're down to the hard pack, and then you fly out to that cushion. You're seeing them slide into that cushion. That's what's putting them up on the bicycles. Look at Winnestorfer closing in again on Holcher.
Yeah, there's still some time left in this race.
Yeah, this corner gets really tricky because the big berm's there now, so you almost about have to raise your left front right about on it.
Yeah, you almost want to tiptoe, but if you're Holger, you don't want to go too slow because Winnestorfer's starting to reel him in.
Yeah, almost right back on his back bumper.
Yeah, she's found some really nice lines here in the late stages. She was another driver that was in part of the Next Gen program with you, and I remember we had Cole and Robert on the podcast, and they said that Maddie really improved a lot over those 2 days.
Yeah, it was a lot different watching 570 compared to not driving. She improved a lot.
Well, she's keeping the pressure on Finley Holcher as we are on the final lap here.
Yeah, as they go into the gravel pit.
Well, I talked about how aggressive the 570s have been. Maddie's been one of the most aggressive, I think. Definitely not afraid to throw a Nerf bar into somebody. We'll see if she gets an opportunity. If she can get an opening here on Holcher. You can tell Finn's just going to run the inside all the way around these corners.
Yeah, he blocked that bottom side and then let that car fade up in front of her, so that's what you need to do.
Just trying to use that protective line.
Time is definitely running out for Madison Winnestorfer. She is not going to have enough time. I think Finley can get through here clean. He's going to take the checkered flag. First year in this class, getting it done.
Win number 1 in the 570s for Finley Holcher. Great run for Maddie Winnestor for Ella Holcher across the line, third in one position, critically ahead of Logan Fritzinger. So Logan had a 1-point lead coming into today. Unofficially after today, Ella with a 1-point lead over Logan. So that's one that, like I said, could come right down to Saturday at Crandon. Who finishes ahead of who?
Yeah, it's always. Last year I had, I think, a 20-point gap in between me and Bryce, and I made it up just sweeping the weekend. That can always happen. One little break can ruin your points day.
Quick look back at some of the action from that 570 race. That is why Shimmick ended up flipped over on his side. Made a little contact there with Raymond Denninger. And then all kinds of chaos. Denninger again up on the berm, had to gather it back up. And he actually went over on his side and back onto the wheels. So that's what took him out of podium contention, cost him about 5 or 6 spots.
He's just lucky that he landed back on his wheels.
Looked like stunt driving out there.
Yeah.
We'll let our 570 drivers make their way to the podium. We'll talk to them shortly. Corbyn, thank you so much for coming up and hanging out with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Best of luck in Mod Kart tomorrow. Plenty more racing yet to come here from Bark River. Stay with us.